I read this novel called The Question Authority by Rachel Cline. It's a novel from a few years back. Let's see what year exactly. 2019. I read this novel because I was discussing Russell Banks' great book, Memory of Soft Skin, which is about these people who have to live under a bridge because of legal constrictions, because of their being on a certain watch list. And I was speaking to this with a person I'm a model, and one of the people who came to draw in the class is a reader, and we were talking about books, and she said that this one had certain connections to that one and it was written by a friend of hers. So I thought I'd read it. So I got it from the library and I read it and I really liked it. I finished it this morning. It has to do with a private school in Brooklyn, and it has to do with a couple of women who went to that private school. There is Beth and there is Nora. Now we primarily stay with Nora, and Nora's, I guess, the main character, the main narrator of the story. She's living in an apartment in Brooklyn Heights, which is a very nice neighborhood. I've walked around there a few times, and you have beautiful views of the bay and of the of Manhattan from there, and Three Bridges. So she, this character Nora, is living in her grandfather's apartment that she can't sell because her mother did something with her mother has recently passed away and has done something that inhibits her from selling the place, so she's kind of stuck there. But it's a nice apartment, yet filled with ghosts of her previous family. Her father or grandfather was a famous poet, which I guess he made a lot of money out of a particular poem, and she creates the poem in the book, which is about the Reverend Beecher, Harriet Beecher Stowe's father, who is having an affair somewhere down in Brooklyn. So it has to do with him having this sort of scandalous affair with some other woman way back when. But so these two women, Beth and Nora, have gone to the same school in Brooklyn, a private school in the 70s, early 70s. And there is a teacher there named Bob. And Bob has outside inappropriate relations with several of the girls in the school, criminally inappropriate relations with them, and abuse of his power and his situation as a teacher and a trusted person, not only trusted by the students, which allows him to get away with what he's doing, but the trust of the parents to give their children to the school and hope that they are safe and unmolested by their teachers, so forth. So we have Nora in a situation of working for another school. I think she's working for the Department of Education for the city, and she has like a paralegal, and a case has come to her desk of a teacher now in the contemporary of the novel, which is 2009, who is involved in the same kind of activity. And his case is coming up to court, and she has to deal with the other attorney involved, and it turns out to be Beth, her best friend when she was at this school. And she and Beth had made a pact about this teacher, Bob, that both of them would stay away from him because he was, he was what he was, and they didn't want to be involved with that. So we find out in the course of the novel what goes on, and I don't want to give it away, but it treats all the subjects of this rather seriously and very well. We don't get any. I thought maybe the problem with my friend or this acquaintance of mine who recommended the book. I thought maybe it would put the perpetrator in some sort of reasonable or some sort of light that got him off of blame for what he has done. Got him out of the deal for some reason, but it does not do that at all. He is the bad guy of the story. There's no question of that, and the real conflict and questions is about how these two young girls who grow up to be, middle-aged women by the time the story is unfolding in 2009, how they take this all a little bit differently within themselves and how they deal with it. And actually it has to do with this case of this current teacher up for the same problems, this Harold Singer, and his, because they are advocates, different size advocates in this particular case. And there ends up being this backstory that involves the two of them that cause them to think their own particular way about this sort of situation. So yeah, I thought it was really well handled. The writing is very, very nice, very good, which means, I don't know, there's some books you just pick them up and you just read them and it just kind of flows, and it's not like you're really reading something. It's just like it just goes in. It's not, you don't have, or I don't have a particular consciousness of the words or the sentences or anything. It just all just kind of happens for you. And that's the kind of reading that I felt was in this book. Even though it's quite short, it's only, 220 pages or something, but it packs a lot into this really kind of disturbing story, but that's handled really well. I mean, it doesn't have any real hardcore disturbing scenes in particular, but the whole atmosphere of this is this one of exploitation and people, willing to receive this exploitation and see something positive in this guy. The teacher back in the 70s is kind of popular. He's young and hip. He's the teaches photography at the school, and he gets people into compromised women, girls into compromised situations in the photography studio. And we're talking here about, middle school aged. This is not high school even. These are kind of like 7th graders, so, it's really, really beyond the pale of acceptability, and, bad things end up happening to, it shows how things like this, one person like this, can set these other things going on that bring tragedy to other people because of connection to it. There is an attempted suicide that's caused by this. There is some other stuff that goes on because of this, and it's a rather sad tale very well told. I was going to look it up, the name of the movie. Let me just do that first. There are certain things about the novel and the story that remind me of actually a quite good movie about the same kind of thing, which is called May December by Todd Haynes, that was on Netflix, or is probably still on Netflix, I don't know. But in that, we see the story of I think Mary Kay Letourneau, who was, it was a very big case of her getting involved with one of her young male students, and this big, she goes to jail, she comes out of jail, they get married. Well, that movie meets up with them later on and shows finally what has been kind of disturbing about that whole thing, and it's quite a good movie. Well, there are elements of that appear in this novel as well, so it made me kind of think about it. In the acknowledgments at the end of the book, Rachel Cline talks about what was the impulse to write the novel, and there was a story about her school. I think it was called the Academy School in Brooklyn in the 70s, where there was a teacher there in the late 60s and early 70s who was doing this. And that article talked about, I wasn't able to read that article, but I found one in the Daily News. And he was the photography teacher and would start his assaults in the darkroom. You know, when he had people in this small, women, girls in this small, well, kids, I mean, you know, 7th graders in this little dark room. So, so that is the Question Authority. I would recommend this novel if you want to read things like this. And it's really good. And you know, once again, it's these things that I'm interested in. You know, it's all the same kind of thing. It's this power, these people that gain power and immediately abuse it. I mean, we see these stories of abused power all over the place, from, well, you know, well, currently, like P. Diddy and what's going on with him being in jail for some months now, I guess, and all the people that are coming out about things that he's done and the power he had and the ability to pull these things off without anyone doing anything about it for what, decades. So, you know, these things are, you know, it's just part of the world we live in that, you know, has to be corrected somehow. How power can be given to people and what they do when they take it, and how they abuse it, and how they exploit people with the power that they have. It's just, you know, it's mostly men, but not exclusively. It is almost exclusively men, but there are cases. I was reading about Amma, the hugging saint. I'll put the link in here. There's a series of articles being written by Bo Schofield about Amma and the whole thing that she built up, this hugging saint, and the abuse that goes on in that situation, and the abuse that she does to her followers. So, you know, it's not just men. It is also women, and it is also a culture that looks up to and worships power in some kind of situation like that. And in this, you know, in this situation, you know, it's a school, and schools are an artificial, you know, environment. Like, you know, humans have not always gone to school, not left their parents to go, who are taken off somewhere else and other kinds of work, while the children are put, warehoused in a certain sense, educated in another sense. Anyway, put aside over there and left with these keepers. And keepers often abuse people. They do it in prison, they do it in schools, and they once again, people who have power will exploit it. So we have to find a way to work around that if we're going to be a just and peaceful and society that cares about people and doesn't hurt them, especially children, as in the case of this very good, well told but disturbing story. Thank you for watching.